And that kind of leads me into my next question. We're talking to Dr. Adam Earnhardt from Youngstown State University, an expert in fan reaction. Is it true, and this is kind of an old cliche, that winning fixes everything? Now, if this has a bad public image, especially, we'll go to we'll talk about Roethlisberger in that case, but I guess at Penn State even, can winning kind of, be the ultimate Band-Aid over something?
Ease the pain, ease the transition. There's a great article, and I'm sure none of your listeners read Playboy for the articles, but there is a really good article in Playboy in April of this year, and I think the author's name is J.D. Alorio, I believe is his name, but the whole article is, it's called Just Win, Baby. Mm-hmm. And so the whole article is centered on this idea that, hey, I mean, if you're this law-breaking athlete, if you're this, scum-of-the-earth athlete, we don't care. As long as you're winning, we don't care. We'll support you. And you saw a lot of that. What's funny now with Roethlisberger is that they're attributing that to his image rehab, right?
Right.
So he didn't go out. It's not that he went out and spent, hundreds of millions of dollars and gave all this money to all these charities, and that that he's doing all these things to make himself a better human being. No. What did he do? He won games. He got them to the Super Bowl, and because of that, all of the sports analysts refer to that as image rehab, which is kind of interesting. Now, if you try to apply that same that same line of thinking to Penn State, then absolutely. But I think in this case, man, anything short of a bowl championship next year is it's really going to take a lot for them to repair this image.
And it's still being tarnished, and things are still surfacing, and I think it's only going to get worse, and it's going to hit rock bottom eventually. But there's no timetable when that's actually going to hit. Now I'm going to ask, as far as geographically, or even from a school to school, or team to team professionally, is there places where this is more likely to happen, where fans defend to the very end? Now, I know if this, and I made this point last week, if this would have happened within the Penn State basketball program, fans wouldn't have been they wouldn't have been riding in the street for former coach Ed DeShellis. They wouldn't standing by him saying, "You did the right thing, Ed. You went to your direct superior." They would have been calling for his head. Now, and I think they were jaded a little bit by football. Does the area and the program kind of dictate whether or not the fans are going to get behind it, and whether or not the public outcry is as big as it was?
Oh, absolutely. And look at I bet you if you pinpoint where many of those fans that rioted were from, they were probably from the central Pennsylvania area, mm-hmm. or Pennsylvania in general. I mean, look, many Penn State students, and I grew up in just outside, actually just right down the road from where you guys are. I grew up in Brackenridge, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Small steel town, right? And when I grew up worshiping Pitt. I mean, we were told to,
Hail Pitt.
Whenever they talked about Penn State, right?
Yeah.
So, but still, the students that are going to Penn State, I think, to some extent, they go through high school in Pennsylvania thinking about Penn State, grooming themselves to be a Nittany Lion, right? Obviously, not all of them athletes, but in many cases, they're grooming themselves to be students,
part of the community, yeah,
part of to be part of the Penn State mystique. So their entire identity then, before they even step foot on campus, before they even apply to the university, is so wrapped up in Penn State that, any violation of that seems to be a violation of their self-identity.
Absolutely, and I think because of the magnitude and what Penn State football means to the area, it was the biggest bomb you could have possibly set off. Now, on the flip side of things here, I look at
1380 AM Katanning.
Let's say some of these athletes did not perform well. Let's go back, and you can use any example you want. Now, let's say that this was a terrible football team and terrible coach, and they didn't like. Do fans sometimes do the complete opposite and turn a 180, and they act overly negative to an athlete or coach that doesn't necessarily deserve it? Can the exact opposite happen, where they hate somebody, and not necessarily because they're a bad person, but because they're not performing?
Well, that's a good question, and I'll be real honest with you. I don't even know the
I just have to use the example, and this is most recently, this is a couple of days ago, the Columbia Marching Band has been banned for the rest of the football games because they changed their fight song to, it was into a negative sense, so because Columbia having a bad year in football, the band changed the fight song in a very derogatory and negative way, so the Columbia University banned their own marching band from the rest of the game, so that kind of shows you that even when you're a big fan, it's kind of a "what have you done for me lately" kind of a thing if you don't have that tradition backing you up.
Right, and there's actually something very. It wasn't with the marching band. I forget. I think it had something to do with their college newspaper there, but something very similar happened at Vanderbilt. And man, the reaction from the athletic department at Vanderbilt is like, man, what do we have to do?
Yeah. Now, last thing we want to talk about before we get you out of here, I believe you have a new anthology coming out, about to be published, or at least you were a contributing factor to that. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, now what we try to do is get a bunch of scholars, and by the way, the people that are studying this stuff, I mean, I don't want to give the impression like these are the type of your nose in the air cliche professors that are walking around these are some really cool people that just happen to have an interest in sports fandom, and yes, they just happen to be college professors, but this is some really cool research that we put together in the form of an anthology, and it's coming out from Lexington Books, and I think they said it'll be out in like 2 or 3 weeks, but it's called Sports Fans, Identity, and Socialization, Exploring the Fandemonium, and I knew it was going to get loud here.
Yep, yeah, you caught it.
I mean, yelling already. So, maybe they're clapping for my book. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, the whole idea was to get people to write, to do these studies specifically looking at fans, and I mean, these are studies that have never been done before, and that will probably be influential for a lot of studies later on down the road.
And the name of it is?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's called Sports Fans, Identity, and Socialization, Exploring the Fandemonium, and it's from Lexington Books. And I mean, if you're interested in like the numbers behind this stuff, and you know, we look at we look at everything from fans of the X Games to WNBA fans.
Wow.
and Major League Soccer fans. There's chapters on each one of these different things. It's a pretty cool exploration.
Now you can go out, and anyone can just go out and purchase this, or is this something you have to download, or what? How do they get a hold of this?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, and I think it's going to be it's on Amazon and all the other book places too. But it'll be you'll be able to download it as an e-reader in the next couple of weeks too. So that should be I think that's the cheaper version.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're talking
download it to Amazon Kindle or whatever.
Exactly. We're talking to Dr. Adam Earnhardt, an expert in fan reaction. I want to thank you for being on the Sports Zone here on AM 1380. A lot of insight and a lot of delving into the psychological aspect of fans and why they reacted the way they did. I want to thank you for being on today.
My pleasure. Let me tell you real quickly before you go that one of my favorite places to stop between Brackenridge and Clarion on my way to school was the Sheets in downtown Katanning. So
I was just there today, and you didn't tell me you were a Golden Eagle.
Oh yeah, I did my bachelor's and master's degree there, and I still have lots of friends that are professors there. But of course, many of them have. I'm old now, so I've retired and moved on. But I go Eagles.
Fly Eagles fly. I want to thank you from one Golden Eagle to another for being on the Sports Zone. Thanks a lot, Dr. Earnhardt.
All right.
Okay, that was Dr. Adam Earnhardt from Youngstown State University, an expert in fan reaction. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to break down the backyard brawl. We're going to talk about, does anyone still care about it? You're listening to the Sports Zone, AM 1380 WTYM. We'll be right back after this.